Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another Sister Wives Season 6 review. Let me begin by saying that one thing that was proven in this episode is that Robin does not listen. The discussion was heavy. There are going to be some parts that I leave out because it was so much back and forth that at one point I was like, do I want to review this? But I think it does need to be reviewed. So, we begin this episode finding out that the Brown family is going to participate at a panel discussion about polygamy at the college that Logan goes to. This will not be like the one that they had at the other college, because at this panel review, there will be another group of people who oppose what the Browns are saying. They'll face opposition here, and we know that anything that opposes their viewpoint makes them nervous. They know that they're a 5-panel team, and the other team, I believe it was 4 of them, 4 panelists for the debate. One of those panelists happened to be Christine's aunt from her mother's side. Her name is Kristen Decker. Her father, Kristen's father, was married to 13 wives. Her mother was the first of the wives and has 8 kids out of 23. She got married when she was 17. She was married for 33 years. She left when she was 50. She said she went from this place where she was really happy to immediately going through jealousy and hurt and things of that nature, because as young as 17, within a few months of her marriage, her husband was already seeking other wives. I don't recall her saying how many wives she had, but either way, it became a problem for her. She said that she was so deep in everything that initially when she met Cody, that she was very happy for her. She was very happy for Christine, because that is her niece. And she believed in the same thing that Christine was taught. And now she finds herself where she just wants to shake Christine and pull her out of it. We then have Colleen, who we've seen before on a previous episode. We know that she's from the Kingston family. Her mother has a total of 12 kids, and her mom is the 7th of 14 wives. She has been out of that branch of polygamy for 3 years. And despite meeting the Browns, she still wants to tell her side of the story, which is extremely fair. What bothered me a lot about this episode was I feel like the panelists allowed for the Browns to tell their story, and they listened to what the Browns were saying. Whereas when the panelists were telling their side of the story on the opposing view, it seemed like the Browns were more defensive, with the exception of Christine and Janelle. But we'll get into that further on. We find out that in the Kingston group that they have a lot more incest, and that she has a sibling that is married to another sibling. They share the same father, I believe. Whereas with her, she was lucky enough to marry a second cousin. And in their group, they consider that to be good, that it was a second cousin. She said it's because them doing this allows them to keep the bloodline pure. One of the things that she emphasized while she was talking in the discussion was that for them in their group, they noticed that the sister wives aren't friends, and that they would abuse kids that aren't theirs. And they said this in the panel discussion as well. We then have Willie. Willie was raised in the FLDS in southern Utah. His mother was the 3rd mom. She had 14 children of the 42 that there were total. He left a year ago with nothing but his mom and 6 of his sisters. So he still left behind a lot of siblings and a lot of family, and he's starting fresh. Willie says that for him, even to go to this panel and to have to talk about this takes a big toll on him, because he's still adjusting to things. He finds himself being pulled in all these different directions. And Colleen related to him in the fact that she's not just one person. She says sometimes she feels like she's 4 different people because of how they were brought up. And Willie is just trying to figure out who he is. He agrees that there was a lot of jealousy with the moms, and like what happened in Colleen's branch, they took it out on the kids. He said his father wasn't around a lot and he wasn't a decent person. What I'm noticing when I'm listening to like the Kingstons and even the FLDS, I'm noticing that they maneuver more of a breeding standpoint. You all can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems for them it's more about the children, creating more children than anything. And to me, that's sad. When you have a young man saying that he is one of 42, that's a large number. And I can't understand how a parent can be there wholeheartedly, emotionally, and physically for a child when there's so many. I'm not knocking anyone's beliefs, but I do feel like even in polygamy, if you're going to practice it, I feel like there should be some cutoff point. To have 13 wives and think that that would be a good, like you can lead 13 wives and their children, that's a lot. We find out that Aspen wants to go to the panel because she wants to know everyone's experience in regards to polygamy, not just what her family presents. When I heard Aspen saying this, I was like, good for Aspen. She should be able to be told all aspects of polygamy, and she should be able, from seeing those different aspects, determine what's best for her. I think that Christine worried a lot about it, that Christine didn't want her daughter to be swayed, but she did allow for her to come, despite her questioning her motivation behind wanting to go. Aspen says, seriously, what it really is for her is she wants to go find out what she wants to find out, as well as be a friendly face in the audience, because she knows that her mother is very uncomfortable with the situation and she just wants to add comfort to her. Christine said that she has no desire to go to the debate. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to talk about her family in this manner, but she knows she has to, and she knows it's going to be an antagonistic situation. Yeah, y'all know me in these words. Sometimes I butcher them. I wonder why she was worried about what was going to happen so much. You were in a social setting with others on a panel, and although you were going to be having opposing views, if you really were that concerned about it, I think she shouldn't have went. Janelle worries that their personal experiences will be invalidated because of what other people went through. And I think one of the problems that I noticed with the debate was that the facilitator wasn't there to remind them to stay on task, to be respectful of each other, to not interrupt, to not interject. And he didn't moderate in the task of like where you may have him repeat what someone said or something like that. There was a lot of room for crossover. So for example, Robin didn't like something that was said, and later on she threw it back at one of the panelists, even though when the panelist said what she was saying, she wasn't directing it towards her. She was directing it towards her own experience. When you have multiple parties with varying opinions, it will get intense. And the key is to not become defensive. But it sounded to me like the Browns went in there being extremely defensive, as well as some of the panelists. But the panelists kind of let, them talk. There was some lady, I don't remember her name. I didn't write her stuff down because she wasn't really involved in polygamy. Somebody tricked her and made her think she was involved in it. But she was the one that had more of the inappropriate things to say, whereas the other ones were really just telling their own opinion. We see the Browns head to the university to meet the professor who is arranging the panel discussion, and he is the moderator. In this episode, the Bird says, as a family, they decided to go public. And I heard her say this and I was like, I'm sorry, because I thought they went public before they decided to court Robin. How did Robin become a part of that we? She really has a way of rewriting history. Yes, she probably knew about the Browns because from what I understand, the church was told that they were going to be going public. A lot of people were aware. They were made aware about it. And Robin also heard about it before she started dating Cody. I think that if they hadn't gone on this show, that Kody might have never had landed his bird. The bird knew that they were going public, and she very much so wanted to be a part of this. Kody basically says that they didn't go public just to go public. That them doing this was so many risks for them. I still believe that Kody went public for the money. I cannot say that is the complete reason, but I very much so believe that money had a lot to do with it. Professor William is the moderator that I told you about of anthropology, has been interacting with polygamists for over 25 years, but he has never had direct access to Warren Jeff's FLDS community. He says that he's, had some access with one that's adjacent to them, but he's never been able to really talk to his followers. Kody tells him that it seems to him that the professor has something at stake here, and that's why he's doing all of this. And the professor's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with curiosity. I need for Kody to stop feeling like somebody always has an agenda. I think that this professor really just was intrigued and really just had some beliefs and wanted to have you all talk amongst each other so he can see if the things that he thought and some of the studies that he's done were accurate. The professor says everyone that he talks to, both men and women, say that the vitality of the family depends on that man. Excuse me 1 second, you guys. I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm getting text messages. Which means that the moment Kody started favoring one wife over the other, the moment Kody stopped being intimate with his wives, the moment that Kody did not lead his house in the way that a polygamous father was supposed to, his family was in essence lost. The professor said that he found that a lot of men were not able to fulfill their role as what should have been the head. He says that in his opinion, plural relationships are more complex than monogamous ones. And I would think that they are, because just the amount of personalities added and the expenses, the additional mouths to feed, I could understand why that would be complex. You're dealing with different attitudes, you're dealing with different emotions, you're dealing with how people feel in regards to their placement, that like there's a lot that comes with it. Think about it. Think about how irritated we get just in seeing the interactions that we see, and we're not a part of this family. Imagine to have been a part of this family. He said that with them, he wants to see how they resolve issues. And he wants to know why some families are able to make it work and why others can't. I honestly think that the key for all of this is ego. In my opinion, if you're going into polygamy with a religious conviction, then you need to stick to the religious aspects of it. Whatever your doctrine says, then that's what you need to do. And to me, it seems like Kody wavered, and Kody didn't follow his doctrine, and Kody didn't do certain things, take certain counsel, things of that nature in order to maintain his household. The bald eagle lets us know that the loudest voice is going to and tends to come from people who left polygamy. And of course they're going to have the loudest voice because they're the ones who've experienced. They're going to be the most opinionated. It's real easy for us who are on the outside to talk about something, but when you have firsthand knowledge of something, oh yeah, you're going to be loud and you're going to want to make sure that your voice is heard. They were the ones privy to the things that someone like me is unaware of. The professor said, you're not going to convince the people who've already made up their mind of anything, but you can convince the people who are neutral in the public that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. So he already let them know that this discussion is not about you proving your point. that it's about allowing the public to see, despite having these two opposing views, that there can be some commonality, that there can be both good and bad, that just because this person is saying it's bad doesn't negate the fact that you're saying it's good. But the Browns went into it in the wrong way. Christine let the professor know that she didn't want to do this, and she still doesn't want to do it, mainly because one of the panelists is going to be her aunt, and this makes her feel unsafe because she doesn't know what her aunt is going to say. I really, really hate that this family uses the word unsafe so much, because just because you're in fear of opposition does not mean that it's unsafe. You shouldn't deem that as unsafe. What was your aunt going to do? Attack you? Beat you in the head? Like, what was she going to do with so many people around, with cameras around and all those other things? If you fear opposition, then say that. But for you to tell the professor you feel unsafe just because your aunt was there, and your aunt didn't even really do anything. Yeah, your aunt may have stood outside the bathroom and laughed at what Colleen was saying. It was real juvenile on all aspects, but I don't think she was there to harm you. I really think that Christine's aunt just was happy to see her, because even at one point she asked her if they could go out for dinner and Christine declined, but I don't think she really wanted to beat her in the head. Christine lets us know that she is mad at her aunt for being against polygamy because they already get enough of that from outsiders, and that she doesn't like getting it from her family. And I think that that's unfair, that her aunt should be able to feel whatever way she wants to feel, especially seeing as to how Christine doesn't feel like polygamy was the right way for her. So it's really ironic how things have changed. And back then, you felt this way, but here you are now, and you have no desire to be a part of it. Like, you said out of your own mouth, Christine, that you don't ever want to be a polygamist again. The Bird feels like they're going to be ambushed. They got ambushed all the time by anti-polygamists. And I said, okay, the Bird does not know what it means to be ambushed. Because when you're ambushed, that implies that you don't know something's coming your way. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. So I said, let me look up what the word ambush means. Let me see what the dictionary says. Oh, here we go. Ambush, a noun, a surprise attack by people lying in wait in a concealed position. Okay, I don't think that they weren't aware. They even knew who the panelists were going to be. So how weren't you aware of what was coming? But this goes back to them using words that are convenient and that are wrong. She's mad because they're not getting support from family, just like Christine is, and they're not having people listen to them. We've listened to you on this show. You have people listening to you. Everybody isn't going to bend the knee and agree. Mary says, unlike the rest of them, excuse me, she's not nervous. Everybody's not going to agree with them, and that's fine. Cody says, their opinion cannot affect me. It just doesn't make me happy. Janelle says, Cody is not nervous, but he's normally the one who bears the most heat because they're blaming him. Cody says they validate the bad, but people don't validate the good. And I think that's not correct. I think that they do. I think that y'all just don't hear them. Christine, we see, is so intimidated by her aunt that she doesn't even want to be in the same room as her before the discussion. I do not feel bad for the opinions that they have from other people because they chose polygamy, much like any other thing. When you choose a religion, or you choose an organization, or you choose a belief that other people don't believe in, you're going to have some form of opposition. Now, whether or not you decide that you want to debate about it, it's on you. But my thing is, TLC is paying you. You've been compensated for the opposition. So I don't want to keep hearing complaints about the opposition, especially when you decided to go on a public platform. Cody had family that no longer wanted to deal with him, that told him he was going to hell, etc. We see her aunt waiting to go into the restroom, and Christine is in there, afraid that her aunt is going to attack. Y'all, I'm choking on everything, but I'm going to get this out. Mary and Robin go to the bathroom to get her out. Colleen says it was very junior high, and I agree. But I'm trying not to negate what Christine was feeling in that moment, because I feel like she was anticipating the debate more than anything. She lets us know that she does not like confrontation so much that she shuts down. And in this scene, you can see Christine having a visceral reaction from her aunt being out there. She was in the bathroom crying. She walked into the room with one of them in the front of her and one of them behind her, and she was shaking. So it was true. And this made me think of how things happen between them and Mary, because they use certain words like abuse. And we've heard Cody say that one of his wives abused the other wives. And Mary apologized for how she used to speak to them. So I think sometimes when we hear this whole abuse thing, I really want them to be more descriptive of it, because I think that Mary has done a lot of crap. I don't agree with it. And this is coming from someone who's had her own share of things happen in her life. I just hate how they abuse the use of certain words. I'll say that. Christine finally speaks to her aunt while they're doing the panel discussion on the microphone. When she does it in front of everyone, she says, "I love you, but your husband wasn't a nice man." Her aunt says, "I agree. I'm happy for you. I think that your family is rare." That was a great exchange. Robin couldn't let that be enough. Robin had to add that there are a lot of other families like theirs that are happy. I don't believe anything that comes out of Robin's mouth. And Robin really hasn't experienced polygamy. We already know that Robin's other family was raised in different states from her. Their sister wives were not in the same house, let alone the same block, let alone the same state. Her mother was in a different marriage. So her sitting there crying and saying that their family got along really well as sister wives and her mom has a great relationship with her sister wives is all lies. We heard Cody on a recent interview bash one of the sister wives of his father-in-law, who happens to be Robin's dad, and talk about how one of those sister wives acted. So Robin is lying. We've seen it. They get a whole bunch of questions. One of the questions that he gets that I think was good to point out was, are you emotionally active as you can be in your kids' lives? He says yes, but how could he be? Because when you're talking about children that say that they haven't seen you for days, and when you're going to a teacher and you're finding out things that the moms know but you don't know, you obviously aren't present for all, and you're obviously not finding out everything that you need to find out in order to know things. As the other panelists, the opposing view is talking, one of the things that they say is that abuse is common. They start getting defensive, and Colleen said, "We did not direct anything towards you. We're making a general statement. I'm saying that in my family, I was abused by other moms and other siblings because of jealousy that they had of my mom and because they did not get along with my mom." Robin says, yes, you did. You did make a general statement. You did, because you said that the sister wives hate each other. She said, she didn't say that they all hate each other. She said what she experienced in her life was that. Robin said, well, did they know, talking about the people in the audience, did they know that? And I'm sitting here saying, yeah, we did, because I'm audience at home. I knew that she was talking about her experience. The problem that I have with the Bird and crew is them trying to manipulate things. Listen to what they're saying and stop trying to make it you. Everything that they said, they kept on bringing it back to them when they weren't even bringing up those issues towards them. They were talking about the things that they experienced. And what makes it even worse is Colleen had been in the Brown household. She even said that. So why are you attacking her, Robin? Since you want to talk about stuff, let's talk about that. She did not say the Browns. She was sitting there with mascara running down her face, talking about experience. So the lie that you told to try to validate what goes on in your stuff, the bird, goes out the window when you're complaining about what she said when that's her truth. Someone from the audience then asks a question and says, the way you increase your voice, Cody, the way the four women look at you for permission, and Mary begins to laugh. And she says, do you have the financial wherewithal if you leave to take care of yourselves? Now, did the lady have to say that other stuff in the beginning? No, but I do think it is a valid question. If they leave, will they be good? Janelle is very quick to say that she has her own paycheck and her own bank account. But look at where Janelle is now, though. She's stuck in a marriage with a man that is in love with a bird who's sitting on a perch. She has not completely severed ties because her money is still tied up with Robin and Cody. So even though Janelle was sitting here all happy to let us know that she has her own bank account, her money is tied up now. So she got too comfortable. When watching this, because Christine even mentioned at one point that Cody told her if she wants to leave, he'll give her money. We know that that's not the case. But the only people who weren't defensive were Christine and Janelle. Christine says, Cody says, if you're not happy, I'll give you money and you can leave. Janelle says that if things don't work out, she is okay with staying a bride of Christ and remaining celibate. The professor then points out to us, the viewers, that 30% of plural families that he knows has a satisfactory marriage. 35% are struggling, but they're doing the best they can, and 35% are dysfunctional. In his opinion, monogamy probably has the same figures. I don't think so. When Christine's aunt said, so she made a statement like, so if everything, wasn't, for you and you wanted to leave, would you leave? And she goes, Robin, you did say, because Robin did say she would leave. And she rephrases something else. And Robin is like, I didn't say that. I didn't say I would leave. Don't twist my words. Don't make me a victim, sweetie. Who the hell are you talking to? At no point was Christine's aunt rude to her or dismissive, but Robin was very passive aggressive and she was very nasty. And she later on talks about how she was angry, but that's not an excuse for you to get like that. But what I said to myself is that right there, the claws that came out, that's the real Robin. This act that we see on television is just that, because the energy that she was giving the other panelists made no sense. She snapped on Colleen, she snapped on another lady, and she snapped on Christine's aunt. The only one she wasn't mean to was the boy Willie. She then reworded what she said, but it was exactly what the aunt said, but with just a little bit more substance. And the whole thing was that if you didn't feel like this was for you anymore, you would leave. And Robin's answer, even though she went around the mulberry bush, was yes. So Cody better be careful. It left me annoyed. I don't think they accomplished anything from this. The debate was awful. Logan and Aspen were there. We see Logan hug his aunt. Aspen says that in her opinion, the panel didn't go well because our side, and she was talking about her parents, did not see that the other side was talking about their experiences. That came from Aspen, who at the time was a senior in high school. She saw that her family was not listening and that her family went into it defensive. The professor ends it by saying this is what he sees in a successful polygamous family. They are economically well off. They're very hardworking. The husband is affectionate. If he does have a favorite wife, he keeps it very quiet. That the sister wives have to be friends. Kody says in the end, he feels like he let everybody down because he kind of had a meltdown. And the bird says, no, you didn't. You stood up for your beliefs, and I was very proud of you, Kody, for it. And you know, because the bird said that, everything is going to be well. I think that this reminded me that some things are always in delivery. I feel like if your own child is sitting here saying that it failed because you all were very defensive, then Aspen is very accurate in her assessment that you all failed because you were defensive. You guys, let me know what you think. If you watched the debate, I know I left a lot out, but it was just too much back and forth. And I was like, I'm not about to sit here and write all this. Let me know what you think. If there were any parts of the debate that I didn't talk about here and you want to talk about it, do so down below. Let me know your opinion. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for my 400 subscribers. I really, really appreciate it. And we're going up as, who said it? YBN Drawer said, we're going up. And we're going so far up that I got to get to 1,000. Until next time.